Wow, okay. That was a long pause ahead of time. I didn't realize I had hit record already. Um, so, I'm looking right now at the weatherchannel.com or weather.com's storm hurricane tracker for Matthew. And I live just outside of Charleston, South Carolina. About 20 plus years ago, in 1989, Charleston was hit with Hurricane Hugo. I happened to be lucky at the time and not be there. Um, I had moved down here in 88 and had moved back for a summer and then came back in 89 right after the hurricane. And boy, oh boy, had everything changed from the time I had left to when I came back. It destroyed Charleston. The trees, the buildings. I mean, there is, or was, and still is a boat close to Folly Beach that is kind of stranded up in the brush on the side of the road that people now paint on a regular basis, make into a billboard, and it's been there for years and years and years and years. Anyway, it's kind of gotten famous. I think it's still there. I haven't seen it in a couple of years, but it was pretty bad. So anyway, I'm sitting here looking at this hurricane tracker, and right now it seems like it is a Category 4, and it is headed for Florida before it hits anywhere near us. Currently, I believe it's in the Bahamas area, if I can read this map correctly. It says it's going to impact the Florida area on Friday, right outside of Orlando, right around Orlando. That is not happy either. However, it looks like it will probably slow down some to a Category 2 before it gets up into our area, and it's not going to make landfall in our area. However, we are going to be in the outer bands of what's going to go on there. And hurricanes in South Carolina are not a pleasant thing. First of all, where I live, it's pretty much out in the country, and the last time there was a good hurricane here, people were out of power for weeks. I mean, weeks. We had a tropical storm a few weeks ago, and it really amazed me that we didn't wind up being out of power for a day or two. But we were okay, and everything was good. But one of the bad things about South Carolina is the tall pines. We have huge, huge tall pine trees in South Carolina, and they are about the most unstable critters you could find when it comes to trees. These things will break in half, fall over, lose every bit of their limbs, and just become a complete and total mess, and crush your house, your car, or whatever else you've got around. And I am not fond of the fact that I am living underneath several of these tall pines. That's something that I, always concern myself with when I look at locations in this area, is how bad are the tall pines. Today I've spent the day doing some gathering of items that might be needed, and so one of the things you always gather when you're preparing for a hurricane, if you've never been in one, is water. Number one thing. If you're on a well and your pumps go down, it's kind of difficult sometimes to be able to get water out of your well. Now, granted, you can use a battery-operated, plug into a truck or a vehicle pump, if you've got one, to pump your water out. But it's very slow, and it takes a long time, and it leaves you with not really being able to bathe properly or do any of the other normal things that you would do. You'd be lucky to have enough water to cook with and clean your dishes up. And make coffee. You gotta have coffee. So, anyway, I have things prepped for emergencies. I have a crate in the house, as a matter of fact, that has things in it just for stuff like this. Emergency candles and some extra batteries, a little bit of extra food. There's just various items in there, and a coffee pot that I can put on my grill, and, things like that. So, or a campfire. Gotta have coffee. See where I'm stuck? I'm stuck on that coffee. So, today is my birthday, and I'm spending my birthday getting prepped for a hurricane. When I was a kid, birthdays used to be exciting. Now birthdays are like, oh, just another day. Well, anyway, I'm not telling you how old I am. A girl's got to keep a couple secrets. But, anyway, so this hurricane, which is what I came to talk about on this particular post, this podcast, it could be pretty bad for even our area. Even in the outer bands where it looks like it will be about a Category 2, the wind speed of 110 miles per hour. So imagine this. Imagine a car going 110 miles an hour and it knocking you over. I mean, I've been out in hurricanes. When I was a child, we were in Myrtle Beach, and I think it was Hurricane David, if I remember correctly, was the name of it. And I remember I had a very favorite toy. It was a plastic dog with a turnable head. He was, like a squeaky toy, basically. And I took him everywhere, and I named him Toto from The Wizard of Oz, and I was just a big Wizard of Oz fan. And I remember we were going to the bank in Myrtle Beach after we had pulled our camper out of the campground there, where we were living in it at the time. And the bank was flooded with people. It was really bad. And we went there to get our money out of the bank so that we could leave the area and maybe possibly not come back if it was bad afterwards, because it was pretty bad. The tree, I remember leaving the park, the trailer park we were in. It was a beautiful campground, and gorgeous old trees and stuff, and there was a tree that was uprooted and its roots were sticking up in the air, and you could see the entire root bed of the tree. I mean, that was before we left. But I remember going in the parking lot of the bank, and the head of my dog, which never happened before, I don't know how this happened. I was squeezing him so tightly that the head, which turned, popped off and blew underneath somebody's vehicle, and I went screaming, and I'm probably 7 years old, 8 years old at the very most. And I went screaming and chasing it underneath somebody's vehicle. And my mother was freaking out. Anyway, I don't blame her. I think I'd be freaking out too. But, I have memories of that hurricane to a point. I was pretty young when that happened. I missed Hugo altogether. I was here for a couple of minor ones, the little Category 2s and stuff, and a lot of tropical storms. We get a lot of tropical storms in this area. Anyway, it just seems like outside of Charleston is one of those places that just, they gravitate to. If you hug the coastline, Charleston, Savannah, Beaufort, areas like that are the first areas that pop outwards from, like if you look at the map, they kind of are the first areas that stick out after you get past Florida. And I guess the hurricanes generally will go in a fairly straight path for a period of time until they hit land and slow down just a little bit, or get in the Gulf Stream, and there are pressure areas that will push them either out to sea or inland. And but in any case, this one everybody's kind of a little freaked out about, and I'm kind of a little freaked out about it in a way. I just want to make sure that I don't lose anything of importance, and that if we are without power and water for several days to a week, that I am capable of surviving through that, which, I mean, I'm sure I'll survive through it even if I didn't have anything. I'm pretty damn tough, but point being, I would prefer not to have to deal with a bunch of garbage to get there. Things that I don't, I don't want to be in a position where I'm without water or without, something necessary. So, today is charge a bunch of batteries, take down the outdoor furniture and make sure that it doesn't blow away and become projectiles in the yard at 110 miles an hour. Because if you've never seen a lawn umbrella go through a fucking window, pardon my French, you don't want to. Anyway. Can you imagine it? One umbrella going through a window. Yeah. Anyway, that's about all I wanted to say today, but that's what I'm prepping for on my birthday. And I will tell you, I'm 45. 45 today. And, I think my best birthday present so far has been rescuing little Jelly Bean. He's an American Hairless Terrier, and he came all the way from Kentucky to live with me. Showed up yesterday. And he's just curled up in the blankets here in the house. Anyway. Alright, well, that's all. I probably will try to do another one of these at some point in time. Before the situation hits the fan, if it does. Alright. See ya.